Welcome back to This Is Why We Watch Movies. I'm Brian.
And I'm Landon.
And today we're back with another exciting holiday-themed episode.
Yeah.
So, are you getting a good start to your holidays?
I think so. It's only been a couple of days, but, you know.
Yeah, we had finals around here, and they're finally over.
Yeah. Whew. It's been a long week. A week and a half, 2 weeks. So
A lot of papers were due.
Yeah.
A lot of late nights spent crying in a corner.
Yep.
It was great. But yeah, so to celebrate the holidays, we decided to watch a new holiday release, if you will.
Yeah.
And Landon started it and was like, actually, no, we don't want to talk about that. What was it called again?
That one was called The Nutcrackers.
Yes, with Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
And so he decided to change up what we're doing. And instead, we're reviewing Dear Santa, which was a Paramount Plus exclusive holiday film starring Jack Black.
Yeah.
Do you have the description?
I do. When a young boy mails his Christmas wish list to Santa with one crucial spelling error, a devilish Jack Black arrives to wreak havoc on holidays.
Yeah, so essentially the kid has dyslexia and he spells Satan instead of Santa, and that's the entire movie.
Yeah, that is the entire movie.
I don't know if you could qualify this. I don't know why I said qualify, but qualify it as high concept, because I don't know how high the concept is. I don't know how high they were when they wrote it.
Yeah,
well, just to break into it, there's another film of the same title, which was supposed to come out this year, I think somewhere in Europe, and it was pulled for being too offensive.
Boom.
It's like the same concept. A kid accidentally gets Satan. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to see it again, but
it's in a different language. I'm thinking it was Norway, but I don't remember.
That may make it better. I don't know.
We'll see. But So that.
Yeah,
film,
but how much Post Malone is in that version?
No Post Malone.
See.
But that film has not been released, and they're not sure when it's going to be released. So we will keep you posted about that. See what I did there?
I see what you did there. I hated that.
But yeah, so just to break into it, let's be honest, there's not a lot of positives in this film.
No.
I'm actually a Jack Black fan, so I think that's a bit of a difference between myself and Landon.
I don't hate Jack Black. I just don't
You're not a fan.
I personally don't find him as like entertaining as most people do. But it's like I don't hate him either when I'm watching stuff with him in it.
So the issue with this film, and I'm giving this to it as a positive, is that the way that he plays Satan feels like something from a Tenacious D skit. And I'm a big fan of Tenacious D, so like that was fine. But I do wish that there was a bit more depth to the characterization, because it's definitely just him riffing for most of the film.
Yeah.
But if you find Jack Black funny, you'll probably find this moderately funny. Yeah. And if you're not into him, I think that immediately you're going to have a disconnect from it.
Yeah, I mean, I put that down. I put it as a pro of like for some people.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a pro for me, but yeah, I put that he does bring his energy to the film, and like I don't know, for me that wore very thin very fast by the end of this thing. I was like, "Oh."
Yeah. This doesn't have the staying power that a lot of other Jack Black films have, like School of Rock or
Bernie. Just the Linklater stuff.
The Linklater ones, and there's this other one that's on the tip of my tongue.
Nope.
I think King Kong.
Okay, King Kong.
Yeah, there's something else that came out that year. But anyways, yeah, so I've ranted about Jack Black as kind of a pro and con, but for the sake of argument, we're putting him in the pros today. Do you have another one?
There was like a scene or two that made me laugh.
Yeah, there's some genuinely chuckle moments in this.
Yeah, I don't know, and they weren't even like they weren't even that good of jokes either. I just like.
Oh, even Jack Black makes a joke about it being low-hanging fruit a couple of times in the film.
I don't know. It's whatever.
Think of the lowest hanging fart joke you could make, and that's this movie.
There's literally a scene in there where they make the dumbest fart jokes I've ever seen.
I laughed, though. That was pretty funny.
Oh, I was watching it going, yeah, I bet you're going to love this scene. Like, I was like, this is
a great scene. This is cinema. So, yeah, I have one other pro.
Okay.
And I think specifically it's the friendship between Liam and Gibby, but I really liked the characterization of Liam. He feels out of place in this movie.
Okay.
There's a lot about him that I think I watched it and was like, this is me when I was 11. Like, I kind of connected with his character, and I wish that there was a better story for that to be in. But then I went and looked at it, and the conclusion I came to is that I think the actor just has the charisma that I identify with.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's also in something we'll be talking about a little bit later.
Yes, he's playing Neil in Skeleton Crew. Yep. I think that his name is Robert Timothy Smith. He's a fantastic actor. I actually would like to see him in something that, I think could utilize the skill that he has, because he is there's something heartfelt about him in the same way when we were talking about Skeleton Crew and those early scenes where it's the friendship that's present in this movie, but they really just don't utilize it well. And so it's a pro and a con. I don't think it's not his fault at all. But,
no, I mean, he's a child. He
he's
just
a
did his thing. He said the lines he was told to say.
But I want to see more of him and stuff, because I think he has so much potential.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird thing to say that about a child actor, but also I'm kind of standing,
Sure. No, I get you.
He also was in Wolves. He was one of the kids at the bar mitzvah.
Oh, that's right. I did know that because I looked at, when I was looking at the first episode, I was looking at his IMDb, and I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that justice for Robert, but I mean, again, his character in this is fine. I think that Gibby as well was I liked the dynamic between them, but I also I think doing FaceTime calls for a lot of big character moments is a cop out as well.
Yeah.
It would have been nice for them to be in the same space, but I get that it's set in modern times. And I appreciate that the film tried to have a heartfelt core, that it tried. Very important statement on there.
Sure.
But I would like to, do you have anything else positive?
No.
Good. Okay, so let's break into it. It's too little too late, guys.
Yeah. What's happening?
You literally missed you lost the plot on this one.
Yeah. What is happening?
In the most literal sense of the plot.
Yeah. No, for real. I think we should start with this.
Yeah.
Who was this made for?
I think it was made for me, but I don't know.
Oh, to me, it feels like I can't tell if it was made for children.
No.
Or what you could have fooled me, but it also, because it's not they never cross any serious lines that make it feel like it's supposed to be actually just for adults.
So I think that this is probably in a similar territory to something like Kangaroo Jack, where it was written as being a more mature thing, maybe like Good Boys, perhaps, where it's not meant to be a family movie, and then somewhere along the way that got shifted in the production.
Yeah, but
that's how it kind of feels like the characters were not meant to be in middle school, that maybe they were in high school.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's it never feels like it ever finds its own footing, because it just feels like it's trying to do two different things, and it never is able to hit either one. I think if you would have picked a lane and stuck to it, I think it would have been stronger than this, whatever this was.
Yeah, no, there's no lane that it stays to. I was looking at the director's work. I forgot his name. I think it's Bobby Farrelly.
Bob Farrelly, yeah.
Bob
he did,
Farrelly.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, I've seen Dumb and Dumber. I haven't seen There's Something About Mary. I know that Pac is going to be upset about that.
Yeah.
But in general, this just where does this sit in that filmography?
Yeah.
And when you make a film that's dumber than Dumber and Dumber.
Dumber than Dumb and Dumber. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think it's a lot of the Farrelly Brothers stuff, and they've kind of split up and done different things now. Peter's he did Green Book, obviously, which it's just
It won the Academy Award for Best Picture, didn't it?
Yeah, don't get me started on that.
I don't think it was the best picture. I had a good time with Green Book.
I liked the one he did after more, the greatest beer run ever.
I haven't seen that.
It stars Zac Efron, and he's delivering beer to his friends in Vietnam.
Huh.
And I watched this with Chloe, and she was very confused, and I had to explain the whole Vietnam thing to her.
Interesting. Yeah. I will say that this is a side topic. Have you ever looked inside of a Green Book?
No, I can't say I have.
It's very fascinating. I was on a tour here in Wilmington that they were like, hey, take a look at the Green Book. And so I did. And you could see what spots in whatever towns would have been safe to stay at. But Winston-Salem, I think, only had one inn at the time. This would have been 1960 something. But yeah.
But no, the Farrelly brothers recently have just mostly missed for me. I mean, even Dumb and Dumber to me, I think is kind of overrated.
I don't get why people like that one so much.
It's fine. Like, it is a fine comedy, and I think that it just comes down to your stars in that one. Because they're just great. Even the second movie, which is terrible, is watchable only because of them.
Yeah, that's actually the third one in the series.
Oh, I'm aware.
Okay.
I just didn't want to acknowledge that.
You didn't want to acknowledge the actual second one?
Yeah, what was it? Dumber and Dumberer?
Dumber and Dumberer.
Yeah, so stupid.
And then you have Dumber and Dumber 2.
Yeah. T.O.
That's true.
Ugh.
But no, getting back onto Dear Santa,
Yeah.
I do feel like the story is kind of devoid of logic in most places. It's a lot of like, well, then that happened, and now that's happening. And I think the Post Malone concert is like the epitome of what I'm talking about. Like, I don't know, this kid just ends up dancing with Post Malone, and it's like, is that why they made this movie? Like,
I still
is
don't
Austin
know.
Post a producer? I didn't go look, but
I don't think so.
I don't know, man. Like Post Malone, and it felt like the worst parts of Trap. You know,
That's weird because there are no worst parts of Trap. It's
the part where they get to go on stage
4.5
with Lady Raven.
That's awesome, dude.
No, not that part. Like, I liked other parts, but that like when M. Night Shyamalan's like, yes, I'll just guide you to the second act. That annoyed me so much. Anyways,
This guy.
That's how this movie felt too. Also, Post Malone would never play a venue that small. I just want to point that out. Like that, if one thing in that movie breaks my immersion, it's that. Like that would be like if he came to the Wilson Center.
Wilson Center's a nice theater.
But he would never play the Wilson Center.
No, that's true.
Like, I think the nearest we'd get him is probably like PNC Arena.
Yeah, it'd be in Raleigh.
You know. Yeah. Anyways, there's that.
My hair's all over the place.
I feel like the Dead Brothers story had a lot of potential.
No, it didn't.
In the sense that, okay, that explains. They don't bring this up until the start of the third act.
They don't.
I was like, am I crazy? Have they not mentioned this?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, they didn't. And so I'm saying that, like, if we were introduced to the idea of like, oh, there's a dead brother and that they are all dealing with grief, maybe the parents being like upset with each other would make sense. Maybe the kid writing the letter makes sense, but instead we don't get that till the third act.
No, and it made me laugh so hard when the parents randomly are like,
we shouldn't have let them play outside together.
Yeah, they're basically like, it's not your fault. Like out of nowhere, I was crying laughing. This was one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie.
I concur.
Because I think, and then they set it up to be like, oh, this was like Satan doing this or what? Well, you know, I'm not going to spoil it, but this is Satan doing this thing, and he's the one who got them to just, you know, talk about their feelings, and then at the end he's like, no,
they
did that themselves. It's like, well, where did this come from? Like, this was the weirdest, like, reveal of all time.
Because the kid writes his letter, and you're assuming it has to do with like, will you please make mom and dad stop arguing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of that, but it hinges on his brother.
Yeah.
And so I don't even care about spoilers. We're just going to say it.
Right.
Like, it ends with his brother being resurrected, but his family doesn't remember that his brother ever died, but everyone else does. And I'm really confused on the mechanics of that. And I think the scene where Liam goes and embraces his brother is very well acted, actually. Like, again, props to Robert Timothy Smith. Like, fantastic performance there. It's just the scene doesn't make any sense in the context of the film.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a problem with the director there.
Yeah. No, I kind of leads into one of my cons, which was like, for me, the comedy doesn't work for the most part.
Yeah.
And when it tries to be sentimental, it absolutely collapses.
Right, because it comes out of nowhere.
Because they did this thing at the beginning where like they try to explain it, and the kid's like, do you like the Beyond Meat lasagna or whatever he said? And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what's happening. You know?
He's like, but I tried it.
It's like, oh my word.
I have to say, Beyond Meat does kind of slap. I don't know if you've had any.
I've had it before.
But I want to try the Beyond hot dogs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But no, to me, it's just like this movie just fails on all fronts, I think, for me.
Yeah.
It's just not good.
No, it's the way I feel about the emotional core in this hitting is the same way I felt about A Quiet Place Day One. If you go back and listen to that, I had much more of an issue with it than you did.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think you had an issue with it. But,
no, I thought that was the only thing that worked for me in that movie.
But for me, I despised the way it was implemented in A Quiet Place Day One, in the sense that she spends the whole movie with the pizza, and then the pizza's a MacGuffin. It really has to do with her dad. And this one, the letter is a MacGuffin for the parents, and you can get to the end, and it's not even about the parents, it's about the brother. So it's kind of like the pizza is the letter.
Sure.
From whatever movie I just talked about. So anyways.
But that one, I think, for me, and I'm very much in the minority, and I understand that. For me, that one worked. This one does not. But most of the other stuff in A Quiet Place Day One, I think, is just okay.
Yeah. And I think that this movie, I think, falls into a very similar front for me. I do want to say we've only talked about stuff on a storytelling level. So I do want to give it a brief moment to talk about technical stuff. The cinematography was really confusing in this. I've noticed this in some like streaming service rom-coms recently, where there's just like eclectic shot choices, or some stuff seems out of place. And I don't know if it's like a time constraint or like a budget thing, but specifically in the opening of the film, there's a lot of like really wide shots and they're blurry. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh no, I was going to bring this up.
Okay. So it wasn't just me and my bad eyes.
No.
Okay. And it looked very similar to what Matt Reeves did in The Batman, but it's like totally out of place when these two parents are just talking to their kid.
Right. Yeah, no, I think the first 20 minutes of this movie had a lot of issues like that.
Yeah.
I think that it not only like technically, I think the first 20 minutes are just insufferable almost.
I concur.
I think that it gets more watchable as it goes, but that's not saying much. But no, I totally agree, and I did notice that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was Marry Me, which oddly has another frat pack guy. That's Owen Wilson. Did you watch Marry Me?
No.
Okay, there's a lot of like wide angle shots that pan, and you can kind of like see it fisheyeing the wall, and that drove me crazy. But this is a totally different issue entirely. Yeah. And I think that like the editing for that was weird, because like the parents are always in this like wide shot frame, and then when it cuts back to Liam, it's a close up, and it felt so disjointed to me.
It's clunky, yeah.
It felt like when there's a student film that you didn't get enough coverage, and then you're just like, well, I can't go back and shoot that. We lost the location.
Exactly, yeah.
So, I don't know. I noticed that and was immediately like suspicious. I do also think it's interesting that this movie got buried on Paramount Plus. Like there wasn't really all that much advertising for it either.
Yeah, I think also, but the advertising that they did do, they were trying to avoid a lot of what would be see to like controversy.
Sure.
Like, cause it's just, like the poster is Jack Black in a Santa hat.
Right. But there's also like a pitchfork and stuff next to him.
Yeah, but it's so buried almost.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Even the concept is buried within all of that. And I will say, like, one thing else, I wondered if it has to do with this. So, there was the big controversy with Tenacious D and a comment that his bandmate made.
Oh, he was in the movie, yeah.
He was in Kyle Gass was in the film. And he didn't do all that much, but I was kind of surprised that he was in the film in the first place. I know that Tenacious D hasn't broken up. They just went on pause.
Yeah. Well, this was probably filmed before that, right?
I would imagine, but like it wouldn't have been hard to cut his cameo out.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm getting at is I wonder if it's been buried because it's kind of so intrinsically linked to Tenacious D. Because, again, the humor itself is like Tenacious D without most of the swearing. So.
Well, it's like this movie is not even buried compared to Nutcrackers.
That's true. The only reason I know about Nutcrackers is because you showed me a poster.
Yeah, well, because people were talking about it. They were like, technically, you've got these films with these acclaimed directors, which say what you want about them. They've been around for a while.
Who did Nutcrackers again?
David Gordon Green.
That's right.
And they have like kind of established comedy stars in both of them. Both of them went straight to streaming and have just disappeared.
Right.
So it's like, well, that's the only reason I knew that one existed was through a tweet that I saw. So
I don't know if I liked Hot Frosty more than Dear Santa, and that's really sad to say.
I'm not watching. I can't watch it. No, I'm good.
You don't want to see Hot Frosty. Even my mom
No.
watched Hot Frosty.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Well, okay, this is my last thing that I want to bring up.
Okay.
Why is this film 2 hours long?
Because they needed to give us the emotional core and the big like diversion with Austin Post.
There's about 3 minutes of emotional core in this movie,
That's true.
and
But you had to get there somehow.
it doesn't feel like the movie starts until 45 minutes in.
Yeah. It all feels like a prologue.
I'm like, what is happening? Because I like started the movie and it was going, and I was like, man, I've been watching this for a minute. How long is left? Oh, there's 50 minutes left of this movie, and I'm like, what?
Everything after the Post Malone concert, essentially.
Yeah, I'm like, what are we doing?
That's true.
I don't know. That's just me. It's like feels like you could cut half the scenes and it would be the same movie.
So, with that in mind, what is your star rating?
I don't even know. I'm gonna say like 1.5.
1.5. That's generous. Mine's 1 out of 5.
Yeah.
Well, 1.5 was A Quiet Place Day 1, and keep in mind, I said I think I like this less.
Well, if you think about this, your rating system, a 1 is probably equivalent to my 1.5.
No, it's not.
I don't give this low.
A 1. I've given a 1. I've given a 1 star in this show once, and I believe it was for Madam Web.
I think even then I was, maybe a 1.5. I think 1.5 is what I gave that one too.
Yeah.
But like, I very much am like, I tend to bottom out my reviews at 2 stars.
Same. Because I'm like, oh, there's always something. This time, I don't know if there was. Like, the 1 star is Robert Timothy Smith.
Yeah.
And I think if Jack Black had been more charismatic, ironically, we could have been at the 2, but not today. Not today, Satan.
No, it's terrible.
Get behind me, Satan.
Regardless. Anyway.
Well, that's all we got on that. We have a few more things to cover today. So before, do you want to go into the news segments or the review of the TV show, or go into the fun segment?
Let's go to TV. Let's do the TV review now.
Okay.
I have made no notes on the TV show. I figured I would just like riff off of what you do.
Cool. So I
What
think
you want to
that,
talk about.
well, it was a good episode in my opinion.
It was a fun like escape episode.
We got some action, kind of for the first time in the series, like some actual action. Jude Law's a lot of fun.
I love how the episode opened basically with explaining what we were talking about last week, where it was like, well, if he could have done that the whole time, why didn't he do it? And he was like, well, kind of needed to ship.
That's true. Yeah.
So that was, I thought that was really funny because we literally said that on the show last week.
They also confirmed that like he was the pirate character from the opening of the entire show. So I was like, that's nice. Yeah. And I want to know why he has 3 different names, because he's been referred to as Servo, Jack, and there was something else attached to Jack. And then you have his actual name, which is Jod Nawood.
Yeah, Jod, yeah.
So I'm curious, like, what's up with that? Why does he have all these like aliases? But I think he's a really fun character, and I love when they're like, "You said you were a Jedi," and he's like, "Well, did I?" Like, but he is Force sensitive. We have seen that.
Yes,
there's
that
no
is true.
question.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if he's going to end up being like a Cal Kestis type, like he's like a Padawan that escaped, or if he's just like a guy who figured out that he was Force sensitive.
Yeah.
And I want to know what they do with that, because that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I liked everything they did with his character in this episode. Yeah, and I think this was a really fun episode. Another David Lowery directed this one again.
This one felt more like the David Lowery Disney stuff to me than the first one he did.
Yeah.
So it's
I
like
mean,
there kind of came out.
It's like even the opening shot of the episode, I was like, okay, yeah.
Something for like the poster for the Green Knight almost, like silhouetted. Yeah. I liked it.
I liked it too. Oh, good episode.
What else do I have? Are they alluding that KB is Force sensitive? I wasn't sure if it's because of like the computer in her head, or if it is like she has some kind of connection to the Force, because she seems to be developing like a closer connection with Jod than the other ones.
I think that I think there's definitely something about her that he is somewhat connecting to.
Yeah.
Obviously there's the scene in the ship, I guess, she was like in bed, I guess, or something, like laying there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's something there. Maybe she's force sensitive. I have no idea.
I don't know. And then the owl lady was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
I was half expecting it to be like Maz Kanata or something.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
But
Yeah.
I know that they're trying not to tie it back into stuff.
Yeah.
Even like the X-wing pilot, I was expecting it to be the I forget what his name is. I think it's like something Wolf. But he appears as the New Republic pilot in like everything, and it wasn't him. They finally had someone else, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then I think the other big thing is that we've definitely confirmed that they missed the Galactic Civil War.
Yes.
But it also might seem that they missed the Clone Wars. And so I don't know like how far back it is that they've been separated on this planet, but like they've missed a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see why they're in the pocket. And I think that's probably the one fault I have with the episode is that we don't get to spend enough time with the parents. There's only like that one scene at the front.
Yeah.
And then
Which
it
was a
doesn't
good
come
scene.
back.
No, I like that one.
Yeah.
But,
like,
yeah, I agree.
There's almost like a HAL 9000 aspect to it with the security droids where it's like they're not really sure why they're there in the first place.
Right.
And so I don't know. I want to spend more time with that, and I'm sure that we'll get more on AT-ATA as it keeps going, but we didn't get it this episode.
Yeah.
Do you have any other thoughts?
I think we've covered it. I don't feel like I feel like I like the dynamic of the group of kids at this point even more.
Yeah.
I think it's still working for me. I'm excited for next week.
You know, one thing that I will say that's very interesting before moving on is apparently Robert Timothy Smith does not play Neil on set.
Oh, interesting.
He only does the voice.
Oh.
But it's a female actor that plays Neil on set. But I'm curious, like, how much of like the performance or because it's interesting to me that like in the press tours, like it's him with the other child actors, whereas like there's this other person that's responsible. And I think most of the characters that have a famous voice attached to them have like a stunt double doing the character.
Interesting.
So yeah, because I didn't realize that Alfred Molina was in this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. I should have paid more attention, I guess. But I would give this episode a 7 out of 10 personally.
I'm probably right around there too.
Like it's not as high in terms of like the story, but it's not gotten poor at this point. So I'm very excited for next week, as always.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and move into this stuff.
Okay.
So last week you asked me if I'd seen the Snow White trailer.
Yes.
And I had not. I went and watched it.
Nice.
What were you going to ask me about it?
I don't remember what I was going to ask. I guess like overall thoughts first.
I'm confused as to why they made a big deal about not casting dwarf actors when they're just going to have animated dwarf caricatures. I'm not sure what's more offensive.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I mean, more like I don't think that the trailer itself is that bad.
No,
I think that like it looks. Like Rachel Zegler looks really good as Snow White.
Yeah. I think the only issue with it is probably going to be our dear friend.
I wouldn't say friend.
Well, she's my friend.
Again, my favorite tweet was the person who put on Twitter that said, even on the poster, she looks like she can't act. Okay. That's good. That gets going on way too long.
I don't know how to make it. Okay, there it stopped.
That's
a
crazy.
really long sound sample. I just realized there's sound samples, and you're in for it. Yeah, I don't know. She could surprise us. Maybe she's not in the film.
Even
that much.
in the trailer, I'm like, oh my word.
But you know what? It's okay. It's gonna be okay.
Because even in a movie of hers that I love, Wonder Woman, she's not good.
Yeah.
So
this one says censor. I wonder what that does.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. So you can say really things.
I don't like that he found this. This is going to be really bad. I apologize to everyone listening.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Oh, there's an air horn?
Oh no.
Okay. Back on the topic though. I don't think it looks terrible. Like I'm going to go watch it probably.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of the Disney remakes, but this one doesn't look as bad as some of them.
Yeah,
like,
no, it looks
I don't know.
fine.
Like this looks better than the Maleficent movies, and I will stand on that.
Yeah, I think last week we talked about my love of West Side Story. Rachel Zegler she's very good, and everything I've seen her in, I think she's been good. But yeah, I'm excited to see what she does. The rest of the film, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
and then the thing I was going to bring up is, did you see where James Mangold has been on tour talking about the Complete Unknown film?
Okay. Yeah.
And the topic of his most recent film prior to this came up, which is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which is kind of relevant right now because Bethesda just released Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which is a video game set between Raiders and Last Crusade.
Mm.
And apparently the game is like really good.
Oh, interesting.
I've heard like it got like rave reviews. It's considered like actually a good adaptation game, which is a rarity.
Yeah.
But it's because Bethesda made it. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It was not going to be released on anything except for Xbox, but it's being moved to multi-platform starting next year. So sometime in March we'll get it.
Okay. Did Harrison Ford do the voice acting for this?
No, Troy Baker did.
Oh.
He did the motion capture and the voice acting.
Oh, interesting.
And apparently it was like a very vigorous like competition to get the part. But yeah,
I mean,
Troy Baker's fantastic.
Yeah, you might as well. I mean, that should be the first guy you call, I think, just in general, you know?
Yeah, him or Nolan North. But I don't think Nolan North could do Indiana Jones.
No.
He did Uncharted. Both of them were in Uncharted 4, actually. But,
yeah.
You know, I'm excited to play this one when it finally comes out on PlayStation.
I have PC, but I haven't played the game yet, so I don't know. We'll see. I might just wait till it comes out on PlayStation too.
Yeah, even PlayStation 5. But that's not the point of this conversation, actually. So they asked him about what he thought about it, because I think that this maybe it was like related. I've only seen the quote out of context, but essentially, like, fans are responding very well to this game, which is a prequel that features young Indiana Jones. And he's been saying that he thinks that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny failed because fans couldn't accept Indiana Jones as an old person and weren't excited to see that. And I feel like he's missing the mark on why fans perhaps disliked the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because it had nothing to do with age.
No.
Like, that was probably one of the better parts about the movie.
Yeah, no, it had nothing to do with his age.
But maybe that is the case for some people. Right? Like, I'm not going to totally discredit what James Mangold says, but also I feel like he maybe is misinterpreting, because the issues with Dial of Destiny are that it largely feels like a retread of a lot of things, and it doesn't add anything new to the franchise.
And I also think that it's like there's a sense of like the action adventure that I'm used to with Indiana Jones. There's a sense of like wonder to it almost that Spielberg brings to it.
Yeah.
That I don't feel like his action even comes close to capturing the like magic that a Spielberg action scene can. And, you know, I also think the third act is just dumb.
Yeah. It's time travel. Like, it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. I do not like this movie.
But
like, I think that it's like, you have Kingdom of the Crystal Skull that people don't like. But I still pretend that, like, if that wasn't titled Indiana Jones, it was just an action movie with a different character in it, people would have probably liked it much more.
I agree with that. And because I think perhaps this one could have found footing as well.
Probably.
Yeah.
But it's like, it feels like they just took a random generic action movie and then threw Indiana Jones in it.
Yeah.
Which is, that's a travesty. But at least with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, there's still like that twinge of magic.
See, I'm flipped on that because I actually don't find that one to have the magic. And I think this one is closer to it than Crystal Skull was, but it's not quite there.
Yeah, no, I don't. I disagree with that. You know,
I cannot get through Crystal Skull. I find it to be one of the most repugnant and boring movies I've ever seen.
Dude, that's how I feel about this movie.
Interesting.
Like, we literally just have like flip-flop. Because I remember sitting in the theater going, can this end?
Well, it did.
Eventually.
I don't know. I think the ending was kind of abrupt, but that's off the point.
Well, it was simultaneously abrupt, but also felt like I'd been there for a decade.
The same thing we're talking about with emotional cores here is that his relationship with Marion is what this entire film hinges on, but they really don't do anything with it outside of like 3 particular moments.
Yeah.
And then that's how they close out the whole series. And like, I liked the ending actually, not just because it was over, but, you know, I think, yeah, when I look at it, this is like my second least favorite of the series. Like, I still prefer the original films.
I like all 4 of the original films.
I don't consider that one an original film.
Well,
it's not part of the original trilogy.
I don't care about that. I think it's like this the creative crew that were there, you know. They're by and large the same.
Everyone except for this. And I think this is the other thing is I don't like the cinematography in those 2000 era Spielberg movies because they have this really weird bloom. That like it's the way that they were lighting and using diffusion. Everything's like bloomy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Crystal Skull has the bloomy, which is not in the original films, and it's also not in Dial of Destiny. So perhaps maybe that's my only issue. Maybe it's just the bloom.
Interesting. No,
I don't know.
That doesn't bother me at all with that. I think it's more like it's a feeling that I get when an action scene happens, and that's literally it. It may sound insane, but
it does.
You know,
it's okay though. But no, I think that James Mangold might be missing the plot.
Yeah, there's no I don't know why you're getting angry about it. It's, you know, it is what it is.
But I liked your movie, and I'm probably gonna like A Complete Unknown.
Yeah, it looks. I've watched the trailer a couple times this week. It looks interesting. I'm excited to see what it does.
Yeah. Well, and I would say like when you look at his filmography, perhaps Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is like one of his only misses, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Because again, like I'm leaning more towards positive than mid on it, and I think you're leaning more negative than mid on it. But we'll just say for the sake of the podcast, it's a mid movie as far as we're concerned. As a collective. But like everything else he's done has been pretty good. Like, you know, you have I don't know why when I say pretty good, I was like, pretty good.
Yeah.
I just noticed that. But the you know, you have both of the Wolverine movies, you have Kate and Leopold, you have that one that I'm forgetting the title of about Johnny Cash.
Walk the Line.
Thank you. Ford versus Ferrari.
Yep.
Like they're all good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one misstep, man. I wouldn't lose sleep over it, man.
Yeah. And I'm excited to see what he does with Star Wars.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited. Yeah, I think he's a good director.
So
he just happened to make a movie that I don't like this time, which it happens. So
we really do. But speaking of movies that you don't like, we're going to talk about some Christmas movies now, and Christmas this or that, or I guess holiday this or that, because it ventures into both. But the way this works is I give you two options and you have to choose.
Okay.
All right. Live action or animated holiday movies?
I'm going to go live action.
Okay.
I should preface that, I guess. I don't necessarily love many holiday movies, which I don't know. I guess I just don't get in the Christmas spirit like most people do. Like I've told you that we were talking about this week. I think there's like 3 days a year where it's acceptable to listen to Christmas music. The rest of the time, you're wasting everybody's time.
It is always acceptable to listen to Christopher Lee's version of Drummer Boy.
Okay.
Count Dooku deems it so.
Okay. But yeah, I think live action. I watch more live action Christmas movies than animated, so we'll go with that.
I have a lot of nostalgia for like the claymation Christmas movies and like Charlie Brown Christmas.
I mean, I like those too.
So I don't know, but I think in general it has been predominantly live action for me too.
Yeah.
Do you like watching old favorites or new releases?
Old favorites.
Same. I've only watched new releases this year though.
For me,
would have been Hot Frosty and Your Santa.
Yeah, for me, it's like the newest thing that I've been watching every year is Happiest Season.
Good movie.
Yeah, I really like that one. That's a really good like rom-com. So that's like the newest thing. But other than that, I don't watch much. I do like try to watch Home Alone. And then, when it gets to that time, I guess like It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think it's just more like classics over new ones. So, yeah.
I see. Grinch or Scrooge?
Grinch.
Okay, that makes sense. Frosty or Rudolph?
Oh, Rudolph.
Okay, but Hot Frosty or Rudolph?
I'm not watching that movie, so I have no idea.
Just go with the joke. Go with the joke.
It's Rudolph.
All right. Movies that are a countdown to Christmas time or set exclusively on Christmas.
I like a countdown almost.
Same. Like I'm thinking like Love Actually. I'm thinking like Christmas Vacation. All those have like a nice countdown.
Which is even kind of like the happiest season also kind of falls into that category as well of like leading up to Christmas. I think I like that more.
I concur. This shows my age because when I did have cable, it was called ABC Family.
Oh, yeah.
But do you prefer freeform holiday movies or Hallmark holiday movies?
I'm gonna go with the ABC Family, so freeform.
Okay.
I don't like the Lifetime stuff.
Lifetime and Hallmark are different.
Or the Hallmark, whatever it is. Regardless.
Yeah, that's offensive actually to everyone listening.
Lifetime, Hallmark, they all suck. I'm gonna stand by that.
There's a very big difference between the two.
I'm sure, but regardless, they both suck.
Clearly, you've just not seen Silver Bells.
No, and I won't.
You're missing out.
No.
This is the one about the kid that runs away from a Christmas tree farm to be a photographer.
No, I'm good.
That movie inspired me when I was 7.
Wow.
I packed a backpack with some biscuits and ran away.
How'd that go?
Well, I ate both of the biscuits by the time I was to the next street in my neighborhood and I turned around.
There you go.
Yeah. But no, that's funny. I think for me, I'd probably go Hallmark. I had more fun with those. But anyways, moving on. Home Alone or The Santa Claus?
Home Alone.
Really? That was a very fast answer.
Yeah. Tim Allen.
What about as a saga?
As a saga?
Like if we're counting all of like as a franchise, like all the movies in Home Alone, which there's 6 of them, or the 3 movies and TV show of the Santa Claus.
I'm still going to go Home Alone, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
The first 2 Home Alone movies I think are fun. The first one I genuinely think is good. The second movie I think is all right. Some people like it more. I don't know. It's fine. The third movie, I have nostalgia for that one. I watched it a lot as a kid.
Me being like crushing on Scarlett Johansson when it was like age appropriate as well.
That's really funny. And then there's
I forgot she was in that.
Yeah.
She's like 12 or something.
Yeah. And then there's another Home Alone. I don't even know which number it is at this point, but the kid who moves in with his dad, he's got the really fancy house.
That's Home Alone 4.
4. I really like 4. Like, well, I have nostalgia for 4. I haven't watched it in quite a few years. The Santa Claus, I can only watch the first one. After that, I don't care.
So I have a similar feeling. I think that I like the Santa Claus as a movie a lot more than Home Alone. But Home Alone is like more consistently watchable. I can get both of them in because the Santa Claus falls off after that first one.
Yeah. I think that the third one,
I've heard the TV show is pretty good, but I've not watched it yet.
Interesting. I think the third one is okay, but it's still, to me, not good.
Yeah. I mean, you have Martin Short.
Martin Short, yeah.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's very
He's doing his thing.
He's one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But no, that's a good one. All right. I've been doing these out of order. True stories or fantasies for Christmas time?
I'm going to go true story.
Can you name a true story Christmas movie? Because I don't think I can.
No. I guess it's more like,
I like the idea of it.
Well, what do you mean by true story? I guess I should ask that.
Like something that's based on something that like someone's life that happened. Like I guess you could qualify like The Blind Side, which is a terrible. It is aged like milk, but there's a Christmas segment in that film. It's a true story.
Well, then I guess if you're saying it was
mostly true, I guess.
If you're saying that, then fantasy, because I don't know of anything that's like based on a true story. I thought you meant more like
real life,
more like down to earth, like more like
Well, yeah, let's do that then.
Or straightforward. I still probably, I think more like, I don't know. Again, it's hard because I don't know.
Road trip Christmas movie, staying home Christmas movie.
Road trip.
Interesting choice. Can you name a road trip Christmas movie?
Sure. I'll Be Home for Christmas. Really like that one.
Can you name 2?
Probably, yeah. I have to think about it for a minute.
I was just thinking, oh, that's one, and then it occurred to me it's not, because ironically, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is the only movie in the series that does not involve a road trip.
Right.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
But so I think because of that, I'm going to vote Staying Home.
Okay.
Do you like cheesy time movies or tearjerker Christmas movies?
What?
Like cheesy, like oh, that's so cheesy, like Daddy's Home. Whereas like a tearjerker would be like, I'm trying to think of a Christmas movie with the same energy as Schindler's List, and there's not one.
Christmas Shoes.
Thank you. Yes. You just brought that up.
I did, yeah. I had to drop that bomb.
I don't think that's the same energy as Schindler's List, though.
It was my Schindler's List. No, I don't know.
I had a friend growing up that will go unnamed, and he really loves the song Christmas Shoes, and wanted to call into the local radio station that was doing a all request lunch hour and see if they would play him Christmas Shoes in the middle of the summer.
Stop. This is not real.
That's
not a real story.
That's real. Yes.
I don't know why Christmas Shoes just made me laugh so hard.
So I want to buy these shoes for my mama, please.
I remember
it's
all
Christmas
of my siblings
Eve
love
and
this.
These shoes are just a size.
I'm just going to let him keep going, I guess. But no,
Can you hurry, please?
Regardless, my family loves that movie and that song.
Isn't Rob Lowe in that?
He is.
Isn't there a sequel?
Yes, there is. I don't know.
I thought she died at the end.
Spoiler, but yes.
Bruh.
Maybe it's somebody else buying shoes. I have no idea. I haven't seen it.
Maybe what do they do with the shoes after she dies?
I think she's buried in them.
Well, then how can there be a sequel? Do they go grave rob?
I'm saying it could be somebody else is buying different shoes. We should do
that. You had an idea for like pitching a movie. We just need to like pitch a Christmas Shoes sequel that's like a revisionist sequel in the same way that like Terminator Dark Fate was.
Yeah, okay.
Let's do that next time.
Yeah, Monday.
All right. Cool. Santa's perspective or the kid's perspective?
What kind of questions that? The kids, obviously.
So you don't want to watch a movie about Santa?
No.
So you're telling me you would rather watch the Polar Express than the Santa Claus?
Dude, okay, if those are my two options, I'm taking the Santa Claus. Polar Express sucks. And I'm going to stand by this. This is another one of those Zemeckis things where he's trying to do something really cool and interesting. No, to me, it's obnoxious. I don't want to hear that much Tom Hanks.
Okay.
And I stand by that.
That's fair. On that note, there's a local actor. I've seen him a few times on stage. His name is Mike Wiley. He does some one-man shows about civil rights. But he had a one-man show about Emmett Till.
Oh, okay.
That he made into a film where he plays every character. And it's called Darhy, The Lynching of Emmett Till. And so this came out years and years and years before the actual Till movie.
Which is a good movie.
I haven't seen it yet, but I know it's probably a bit hard to get through.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, but it's on the list. But no, I don't know why I just thought about that. Like, he did it so much better than Tom Hanks, which obviously the subject matter is completely different, but yeah. And he also directed it. I'm going to show you the trailer for that after this.
Okay.
Final question. We got to always ask about the Christmas action movies. I think I know the answer to this, but Lethal Weapon or Die Hard?
Lethal Weapon.
Okay, Lethal Weapon. Now,
I don't even think that's close.
Really?
I think Die Hard is fine.
Just fine,
It's just fine.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, while we're on the topic of Shane Black, though.
Okay, yeah.
Aren't all of his movies set at Christmas time?
Not all of them, but a good number.
A good number. I think that's kind of his thing. Iron Man 3 or Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. Oh. I've been saying this for a few years, that Iron Man 3 is probably one of the more underrated MCU projects that have come out.
I agree with that. It's not my favorite, but it is definitely like...
No, I'm not putting it in my top 5. But I do think that like Shane Black did something interesting there that I think most people are just like weren't wanting.
Yeah.
I think when you have the Iron Man trilogy and it's coming to an end, this was not what they were looking for. And it did rub people the wrong way. But I think if people opened their mind to it a little bit and went in with like, just giving it a shot, I think they would come out really loving it.
I was looking at something about it recently, and I think like Iron Man 1 and 2 they're not improvised films, but they feature a lot of improvisation between the actors, and they're not as like structured. And so Shane Black actually wrote most of the movie, like, and the dialogue was set. And I think that's why there's like a tonal difference between the Favreau ones.
For sure. That I will not argue that. There's definitely a tonal difference.
Yeah. I like Iron Man 1 the most, but I've always had a massive disdain for Iron Man 2.
Oh, Iron Man 2's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It undoes most of his character arc from the first one for absolutely no reason.
Yeah. No,
and,
for sure.
It's kind of like a blip. You can literally skip that one when you're doing a watch of the universe and not miss anything.
You won't miss anything, yeah. Yeah, so, no, I agree.
Yeah. But, don't skip Thor. I'm actually in the camp, don't skip Incredible Hulk. That's actually worth watching in the context of it all.
Sure.
But, not Iron Man 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can watch them all. I think that there's but if you're like, I want one to skip, Iron Man 2. You're not
Iron Man 2, and if there was one other this isn't off topic, one other Marvel movie to skip, what would it be?
Thor: The Dark World, maybe. I'm trying to think of like the implications of that one that you would need to know moving forward. Because a lot of it gets undone.
It does get undone. I think it gives context to the bits in Endgame.
I guess, but even then, it's like not enough.
I would
because you have Ragnarok, but like between that as well, though, which is also like so you pick it all up there.
You do. Yeah, it's a tough one. I was gonna say, like, definitely a lot of the Phase 4 stuff feels like you could just like not, and you'd probably still get the whole story. I'm trying to think of like a Infinity Saga movie aside from Iron Man 2, and I'm thinking this may be a controversial statement, but perhaps it is going to be Ant-Man 1.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think that, like, because a lot of that gets rehashed in the second one.
Yeah.
Anyways, it took me a while to think of that. I'm like, yeah, but I really like Ant-Man, so it's a whole thing. It's the best of the Ant-Man trilogy.
It's true. I mean, true.
Are you surprised that we live in a world that we can actually debate what the best movie in the Ant-Man trilogy is?
It is kind of an insane world to live in.
It is.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd be here.
No. Yeah. I don't know. If you would have told like 8-year-old me, like, there's going to be an Ant-Man movie, I would have been like,
let alone an Ant-Man trilogy.
Yeah. A full trilogy. I would have been like, what?
If you told me there was a trilogy of movies about a guy who's best friends with a talking raccoon and a walking tree, I would have not believed you.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
And it's pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so.
Anyways, speaking of things that are pretty good, I think it's about time to talk about what we've been watching.
Sure.
Mine's really short.
Mine is too.
I watched Dear Santa and this episode of The Acolyte and then the first episode of 30 Rock.
You mean Skeleton Crew?
Whatever. To me, it's the same show.
It's not.
Because they're both good.
They are both good. We'll stand on that. What was the last thing you said?
I watched the first episode of 30 Rock.
Oh, okay, yeah. I have watched 4 things this week. But like you said, it was finals week, so there's not really much time to sit down and watch anything. Between, the papers I was working on, finishing the first draft of the screenplay.
Yeah.
And then finishing up an experimental video. I haven't had much time, so I watched The Happiest Season one night when I was in bed. And then I watched The Force Awakens the other day. It had been a while since I'd seen The Force Awakens. So it felt like I needed to give it a rewatch. And then I watched Beau Travail. I'm going to take that board away from you next week. Watch me. And then Dear Santa.
It was more appropriate on that one.
Yeah. Beau Travail is very good, actually. I highly recommend that one. Claire Denis, very good. I'm going to lose my mind.
Can I just go through all these real quick? We've already done air horn.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. No, you'd think that there. Oh my God, there's more of them.
Oh no.
Oh my God. Is this what I think? No, it's not working. That's fine. I need to stop looking at that. The people are like, why is he messing with this board?
Yeah.
But yeah, so this week's episode will be coming to you late. Because we've got some stuff going on this weekend. But as always, please follow us at TIWWWM pod and know that there will be another episode next week as well, and it might be late as well, just because we don't want to overwhelm you with too much of us, because we get it. We understand.
We drive ourselves crazy.
I wouldn't hang out with myself.
Yep.
So, anyways, do you have anything to say?
No.
Okay.
Bye.